coming up tonight on VCU InSight.
Last December, the FCC voted to end net neutrality. I'm Alan Rodriguez, and I will tell you how this could affect the way you use the internet.
I'm Brianna Scott. Stop the hike is what VCU students are saying in response to a proposed tuition increase. I'll show you how students are expressing their opposition.
I'm Valeria Collardo, and tonight I'll be showing you about a nasal spray that can reverse the effects of an overdose.
All this and more, VCU InSight starts right now.
From the Richard T. Robertson School of Media and Culture at Virginia Commonwealth University, named Best Student Newscast in the Mid-Atlantic, this is VCU InSight.
Good evening and welcome to VCU InSight. I'm Jasmine Nadus.
And I'm Kimberly Strother. Thanks for joining us. Former Virginia Governor Douglas Wilder is suing the former dean of VCU's government school, the school that bears Wilder's name. The lawsuit also names University President Michael Rao and Gail Hackett, VCU's Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs. Our Kairos Manzanares is in the studio to explain the intricacies of this legal fight.
Yeah, that's right. This has a lot of moving parts between allegations of harassment, a lawsuit, and now a counter lawsuit. There's no telling how this could end up once the dust settles. Douglas Wilder filed suit on March 19th in the Richmond City Circuit Court. He alleges VCU intended to cover up wrongdoings by John Accordino, who was then the dean of the Wilder School. Wilder claims that Accordino verbally assaulted and abused Wilder's then assistant Angelica Vega in November of 2017. Wilder claims Accordino called Vega obscene names, insulted her intelligence, and threatened her employment. Wilder says in January the university launched a half-hearted investigation while continuing to tolerate Accordino's abusive behavior towards VCU staff. But it doesn't end there. On March 30th, John Accordino filed a countersuit. He alleges that Wilder sent emails to administration saying Accordino was behaving badly and lying. Accordino says this was just an effort to damage and defame him and have him removed as dean. Accordino claims the administration encouraged him to step down as dean, not because he had done anything wrong, but only out of concern over what Wilder could do. Accordino's countersuit claims that VCU refused to deal with Wilder and his behaviors and feared he would retaliate with unfounded and false claims of racism. VCU spokesman Michael Porter confirmed that Accordino has stepped down as dean and will be receiving $80,000 in supplemental pay and will also be returning to teach in the fall of 2019. We'll make sure to stay on top of this story for the latest developments. But for now, Kairos Manzanares, VCU InSight.
Thanks, Kairos. There's a fight over net neutrality, and the future of the internet is at stake. But what does this really mean? Our own Alan Rodriguez explores the possible outcomes and how your internet experience could be affected.
Since 2015, internet service providers, or ISPs, have been operating under net neutrality regulations. That means that ISPs such as Verizon or Comcast don't get to play favorites. So Netflix, Hulu, and HBO, they all load at the same speeds. But in December, the FCC effectively voted to do away with these rules. A faster internet. That's what the FCC is promising as a result of revoking net neutrality. But critics say improved internet infrastructure will come at a price.
ISPs are going to be able to work with streaming services that have the money to pay them for a fast lane. So then you are completely removing the controls which ensure that the playing field is open to all innovators and all creators.
Schroeder says that lighter regulation would also give ISPs the ability to limit news that clients have access to along party lines.
It's going to further accelerate an entrenched partisan divide that's already gripping this country.
But Dr. Thomas Matson from the University of Richmond says that he has faith in the market.
I fundamentally don't believe these companies are going to be doing unethical stuff because it will jeopardize their position in the marketplace.
Yeah. Many internet users are worried that lighter regulations will allow ISPs to create monopolies in certain markets. But Dr. Matson tells me that this problem would be nothing new.
Where I live right now, Xfinity is my only option. So if they were to block sites, I have no choice. If there's no competition, having lax regulations or not a lot of regulations really hurts us.
Dr. Matson says less regulation will hopefully attract more ISPs to compete. And as far as small content creators like RVA Mag,
and keep reading, keep sharing, keep interacting with local media, understanding that local media is singularly the greatest weapon that any community has now to affect any kind of real change.
Now again, although the decision to end net neutrality was made back in December, the repeal itself won't go into effect until April 23rd. For VCU InSight, I'm Alan Rodriguez. Kim?
An education at VCU may cost up to 8% more next school year if a proposed tuition hike goes through. This could be the biggest rate increase in years. InSight's Brianna Scott is live in front of the VCU president's office to tell us what a potential increase could mean in dollars and cents. Brianna?
That's right, Kim. 8% or $1,000 more is how much students may be paying next school year. Housing, dining plans, and parking rates would follow suit. As you may imagine, not every student is happy with the prospect of paying more.
Campus strike, fair wages, no hike. Organize a campus strike.
Tuition at VCU has increased every year since 2001. Last year, tuition went up almost 4%. On average, students pay around $13,000 per semester. This does not include housing or dining. If the proposed tuition increase goes forward, in-state students may have to pay more than $14,000 per semester. The administration says this tuition raise and this proposed budget, which is 3.7% larger than last year's, is necessary to operate as a national public research university. But some students and faculty were already concerned about VCU's money decisions, and to them, this is one more reason for concern. Logan Cooper is a freshman at VCU. She was among the protesters who marched their demands to President Rao's office. Cooper says she is stretched financially and that it's tough relying on a single mom.
And she just started trucking, so she's trying to earn more money. And then, you know, I'm in between jobs, so I'm trying to get work, and my grandma tries to help out as best she can. But it's already hard enough to pay the amount of money that we do have to pay. It's like $100 a month.
The students started their rally at the Compass and here at VCU President Michael Rao's office. They're demanding a freeze on tuition and an increase in adjunct faculty pay. The administration says that the percentage increase of tuition and mandatory fees has been the third lowest of any Virginia public university. One of the protesters and organizers of the rally says students need to be aware of what's happening with their money.
Our main focus on this is we're getting a tuition hike and they're increasing the budget of our school, but many students are already struggling to maintain to afford to go here. I think the biggest thing that we can do as students and young people is to stay involved and stay in tune with what's happening on our campus.
Now, the Board of Visitors won't be making a final decision until about mid-May, but organizations such as YDSA and Adjuncts Organizing for Fair Pay say they will keep up the momentum with protesting until their demands are met. For now, I'm Brianna Scott for VCU InSight.
A first-term Virginia delegate has made a clear impact on the General Assembly in less than 2 months. For more, we send it to Jack Lodano. Jack?
Thanks, Kim. Today I'm joined by Delegate Bob Thomas, one of Virginia's newest delegates from the state's 28th district in the Fredericksburg and Stafford area. Delegate Thomas, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. You've been pretty busy since you've become a delegate in the last 2 months. You've gone ahead and already been able to pass 5 bills onto Governor Northam's desks. What would you attribute all that success to?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with I was locally elected for 6 years on the Stafford Board of Supervisors, and I had been down here to Richmond many of those years on behalf of VACO lobbying, so I've been on the opposite side of it as well, so kind of understood how the process was, and just doing some old-fashioned lawmaking, making relationships, and working the bills through, so worked out pretty good for us.
Yeah, I can imagine. You won a highly contested rate for this seat. You won your election by 73 votes in a highly contested area, well, from an incumbent Democrat. Given how divided the county was and how the county seems to be, what do you attribute your win to, and how do you aim to represent everyone in your constituency?
Again, I think it goes back to having a little bit of name recognition from being that local elected. Governor Northam actually won the House district by about 3 percentage points. So if you break down the numbers, we probably had 600 to 700 Democrats or left-leaning independents who voted for, the governor on the top of the ticket and then came over and voted for us. So, and that leads really to the second part of the answer, which is, representing every single person in the district is something that's very important to us. So when we have town halls, we invite everybody. And I like to tell people, whether you voted for me or not, or donated to my campaign, I'm still charged with representing you. And we hear from a lot of people on both ends of the spectrum, and that makes us very informed. So we appreciate their engagement as well.
That's awesome. And you also passed House Bill 1482, which gives law enforcement expanded ability to use drones for situations like crash scenes or any situation of an emergency. How do you see this bill going forward and coming to fruition that law enforcement could have a practical use for drones?
Well, VDOT came in. They don't usually take a position on bills, but this one was, in their opinion, a very good bill in that right now an average time to clear a traffic accident, a big one on the interstate, is 4 hours and 2 minutes. And they testified on our behalf that they felt like taking the drone up, getting a three-dimensional model of the scene, taking all of those things that are done manually now, they can clear the accident on average in 2 hours. So if we can save constituents 2 hours on a Friday afternoon in a major backup on the interstate, then we've certainly accomplished something that we can all be proud of. And I'm looking forward to hoping that the governor signs the bill here soon and seeing it in action.
Most certainly, that would honestly help with all the traffic that the state sees. One more question is just, would the police force themselves need to have certain people licensed as pilots specifically to be able to control these scenes, or would officers just go about it themselves to get this license?
Yeah, so some localities have it now, like in Stafford County. We've used it on cases where there was like an autistic child who was missing. We've actually had very good success. And there's currently allowances in the law where the law enforcement can use that without a search warrant. And that's basically what our bill had to allow. You can now do this without a search warrant. But a lot of those localities, they have licensed operators, and most of the localities are providing that for them. The state police would like to be able to do this as well, but they don't actually own a lot of drones. So if you look at our bill, we authorize Department of Transportation employees to assist them, because a lot of them already have the drones and the licensing to do it because they're using it for other purposes. So the partnership between the state police and Department of Transportation employees was key to the bill as well.
Awesome. Delegate Bob Thomas, thank you so much for joining us. That's all the time we have for right now, and it's been a pleasure. Now let's send it back to the desk.
The Righteous Among Nations ceremony awards those who helped Jewish families survive the Holocaust. VCU InSight's Chris McKeever sits down with two people that are products of one family's bravery.
I guess the bottom line is thank them for risking their lives, yes, possibly to save our lives.
He's talking about Michel Dubec, a man that is being honored the second week of July at the Righteous Among Nations ceremony. It's a ceremony dedicated to awarding non-Jewish citizens that helped save Jewish people from persecution during the Holocaust. Steve's parents and siblings were among those that were rescued during the war, and they were hidden from the Gestapo under the stairs of the Dubec's home.
You know, by saving my mother and father and my sister and brother, I was born, my other sister was born, and we all have families now. And from those families will be more families, and our name will go on.
Steve's son Wyatt was also invited to attend. He says that he owes the Dubecs his life.
It would be really cool to be able to go there and to meet the person that's responsible for the fact that I exist and the fact that the majority of my family was able to survive through the Holocaust.
It sends a message that it's important to do the right thing. The Hebrew Talmud, it says, if you save a life, you save the world. And the Dubec family that hid my parents during that period of time indeed did that.
The Ash family's anticipation for the Righteous Among Nations ceremony is only matched by the gratitude they have to the Dubec family for allowing generations to prosper. For VCU InSight, I'm Chris McKeever.
Those chosen for recognition receive a medal and certificate of honor, and their names are put on the Mount of Remembrance in Jerusalem.
The Chesapeake Bay Foundation launched a new campaign in February. More than 20 businesses, institutions, and organizations have set their sights on oysters. Since the 1980s, overharvesting, disease, and water pollution have led to the severe drop in the oyster population. Our Maddie Jones explains how oysters are going from trash to treasure.
It's a Friday night at Southbound Restaurant in Richmond, and little do customers know that the oysters they're ordering are doing more than filling their appetite. They're actually helping to save the Chesapeake Bay. Instead of being dumped into landfills, oyster shells are recycled, cleaned, treated with oyster larvae, and put back into waters to repopulate the Chesapeake Bay. Lee Gregory, chef and owner of Southbound, says he's doing his part to give back to the environment.
Super important to take care of the bay, the rivers, the water, and we try to do that across the board.
The shells from seafood restaurants end up at the Chesapeake Bay Foundation's Oyster Restoration Center in Gloucester Point. Jackie Shannon, the woman in charge of it all, says the campaign is a great way to get the word out on how important oysters are to the health of the Chesapeake Bay.
Not only for ecological benefits, but to also support our oyster industry, the watermen who depend on that, and all the people who benefit from having clean, healthy water.
But they cannot do this work alone. Karen Slowinski of Oak Brook Church in Reston, Virginia, is volunteering with her church's ministry, Stewards of Creation, to help clean and bag oyster shells that will be planted into new oysteries in June.
We live in this watershed, and this is part of our home, and we want to see it restored.
The Chesapeake Bay Foundation, with the help of its partners, plans to add 10 billion new oysters by the year 2025. For VCU InSight, I'm Maddie Jones.
If you are interested in volunteering to help the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, contact Jackie Shannon at 757-644-4125. The #1 cause of death in 17 states is drug overdoses, but there is a drug that can bring an addict back from the brink of death. Our Valerio Collardo tells us about Naloxone. It's what some say everyone, even you, should have available at home.
Heroin overdoses have more than doubled since 2016.
Opiate addiction by far outranks shootings and car accidents. That's pretty phenomenal.
One of the best tools to fight against this epidemic is the nasal spray Naloxone, otherwise known as Narcan, a drug that reverses the effects of an overdose until paramedics arrive.
So the Narcan is to keep you alive, to work on your recovery another day. And it's going to help prolong, people's lifespan.
Revive, a program that helps with substance abuse, is teaching people how to use Naloxone.
I'm glad that the nation is finally making a coordinated effort to do something about it.
U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Jerome Adams issued an advisory April 8th stating the importance of Naloxone and how keeping it close by can help save a life.
For Kenneth Pryor, the fight against opioid abuse began with a heartbreaking loss.
I had a good friend growing up that when we were younger was introduced to heroin. The first time this person became addicted.
Tragically, many of those who overdose from heroin are teenagers as young as 15 years old.
Pills are being cut off, now that they're trying to restrict the number of prescriptions. And because of that, they're going to the street and using the street drug because it's easier to get and a lot of times it's cheaper.
Naloxone is available without a prescription over the counter, making it easier for people to access this life-saving tool. For VCU InSight, I am Valeria Collardo.
Chances are that if you're in college, you're either working or looking for a job. I spoke to a VCU student who found a job online, but it wasn't what he thought it would be.
I was like, oh, okay, something is up.
VCU student Justin Sexton recounts his experience with a scammer.
It was for B&L Energy Company, so I'm like, okay, this is all right. So this is a pretty good opportunity at your internship for the summer rather than not doing anything else but chilling because I wanted to have a productive summer.
The scammer asked Justin to transfer money.
I actually went to my Food Line job during the time to make a money order. And my manager caught on it's a scam, and my heart dropped to my stomach.
Justin Sexton found this email in his inbox promising him employment, not knowing that it would be one of many scams to get into his bank account. VCU's Chief Information Security Officer tells people what to look out for.
The sender's email address is a great indicator, right? So it's, for instance, if I am sending you an email, I say I am a VCU faculty member, and I'm sending you that email from a yahoo.com email address, chances are I'm probably not a VCU faculty member, right?
In Justin's case,
they want to give you something that's believable, so they'll have a better chance to trick you.
If it's too good to be true, then it is.
Jasmine Aduse, VCU InSight. Justin reported his job scam to Richmond police, who helped him resolve his issue. If you think you've been a victim of a scam, contact your local law enforcement officials. The Liberal Women of Chesterfield County is a grassroots organization that helped deliver the Richmond suburbs to the Democratic candidate for governor for the first time since 1961. Our Kairos Manzanares is in the studio with one of the group's leaders to talk about its beginnings and how they could soon be going national.
That's right. I'm here with Becky Connor, one of the leaders of the Liberal Women of Chesterfield County. The group is upending suburban politics in a county that has been traditionally red. Thank you for joining us, Becky.
Thank you for having me.
I just want to know more about how you became involved in the group and what your roles are.
Okay. The group was started basically the day after Trump was elected by a friend of mine now. She was not a friend at the time, I didn't know her, who was very distraught and hoping to find like-minded people in the Chesterfield area that she could ruminate with, I guess. She posted a poem in a Facebook group called, at the time it was Pantsuit Nation, which a lot of people had joined in support of Hillary Clinton on Facebook. And I saw the poem in that group and sent her a friend request. And at that time, she added me to the group that she started, which was Liberal Women for Clinton and Cocktails, which soon changed to Liberal Women of Chesterfield County, keeping the C's. And her first meeting was at Capitol Ale House in Chesterfield, and I think about 100 people showed up. She had asked for someone to volunteer to help with a sign-in sheet and name tags, and I decided I would help with that because no one else was stepping up. So that's kind of how I got involved, and my role just evolved from there. Everybody that wants to help or lead is welcome to, and so our leadership is just a matter of how much time and energy you have to put into it.
How has this group helped you become more politically active now?
Well, before this group, I really didn't know a lot about local politics. I wasn't sure who my representatives were, even in the state house here. So it gave me a chance to look into that and become more educated about it and see what it was that I could do to change the county in the ways that I thought we should. I hadn't been paying attention as much before, and being in this group actually led me to find that we have an official Democratic committee in Chesterfield County, which I didn't know about. And having lived there my entire life, I was kind of shocked. So I joined the Chesterfield County Democratic Committee about 2 months after I was part of LWCC.
So the group is very grassroots based, and you all are in the community getting people to go out and vote. What are some of the political plans you guys have for Chesterfield County?
We're going to build this year. This year we don't have any House of Delegates races or anything. We're mainly focused on the congressional race and Senator Tim Kaine's race. Last year we did a lot of get out the vote, postcards, canvassing, just reminding people that there will be a primary in June and that we have voting in November. And until the primary, we won't back a specific candidate because we have 2 Democrats right now that want to run against Dave Bratt. So right now we're just getting out the vote, making sure people know and are registered. And on primary day and election day, we should have a Democrat at each polling location with information about LWCC and the Chesterfield County Democrats to make people feel welcome and know that they're not the only ones in Chesterfield, which is what all of us thought until we got together.
What is one of the most important strategies you're taking going on to the elections coming up?
I think the most important thing we have found is actually speaking to voters face to face and knocking on their doors and letting them know that we have candidates running. Chesterfield usually didn't have a Democrat running in most of the local elections. So letting people know that we're here, we have a candidate, and the candidates are interested in what they want and what they need from their county.
Thank you, Becky, for coming today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you to Becky and the LWCC for letting us interview them. You can find them on Facebook. To learn more about the group and how you can become involved, visit liberalwomanofchesterfieldcounty.com. Now let's send it back to the desk.
Prom season is just around the corner. In addition to getting a date to the big event, some students also have to worry about the cost to attend. Jennifer Hernandez wants you to know about an organization that offers some solutions to making prom affordable.
Prom, one of the most treasured high school experiences, and one that can be expensive. The formal wear and a prom ticket can run you about $350. That's before accessories, dinner, and transportation. For some families, it's more than they can afford. That's where Operation Prom comes in, a nonprofit that helps low-income students attend their proms by providing free prom dresses and tuxedos. Lanika Bynum started the Richmond chapter and has been helping teens find tuxedos and dresses for little to no cost since 2014.
I volunteered and I absolutely fell in love with the organization and what they stood for.
Here at Operation Prom, girls can choose from a wide variety of sizes and lengths and can even walk away with accessories such as lashes and rings.
Kirsta Page is attending prom in May. She's still in awe after finding her perfect dress.
I wasn't expecting that outcome. I was expecting something simple and small. It definitely made me feel a lot better about myself.
Lanika says she gets a similar feeling every time she helps a student find their perfect choice.
I just get so excited that they're able to find something to wear on their special day.
Since its start in 2005, Operation Prom has opened many chapters in over 15 states. Through the expansion, they've been able to help thousands of students attend prom. For VCU InSight, I'm Jennifer Hernandez.
To receive the formal wear, students must register online. They must be recommended by their guidance counselors, meet the financial need requirements, and maintain passing grades in their classes. For more information, visit operationprom.org.
Butterflies have come to Richmond just in time for spring. Butterflies Live, hosted by Lewis Ginter Botanical Gardens, showcases over 20 species of tropical butterflies. Guests become part of their world as butterflies fly and land freely. The exhibit also features a nursery where new butterflies hatch daily and join the exhibit. Butterflies Live is an educational indoor exhibit suitable for all ages. But watch your step. The butterflies like to land on the ground. The exhibit is free with garden admission and runs until October 14th.
Book lovers rejoiced recently when the Richmond, Maine Public Library held its semi-annual book sale. Readers from across the Commonwealth flocked to the April-Spring book sale. Hardcover books sold for $2 while paperbacks sold for only 50 cents. The Friends of the Richmond Public Library led the event, and for 2 days, volunteers from the organization helped to sell hundreds of books, CDs, and DVDs. All proceeds from the charity event went to the Richmond, Maine Public Library. The next book sale will take place in November. Visit rvalibraryfriends.org for more information.
And that does it for this edition of VCU InSight.
Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under VCU InSight. Contact us with any stories you'd like to see on our show.
And if you missed our show or would like to watch it again, you can find us on YouTube at VCU InSight. Thanks for watching. I'm Kimberly Strother.
And I'm Jasmine Aduse. We'll see you next time.